Hello and welcome back to the Lenko Show. This is episode number 147. If you are listening for the first time, then thank you. Welcome along. Hopefully, you enjoy this podcast. I am your host, Alex Lenkowski, and I am here with my brother again today, Chris. How you doing, Chris?
Hello, everybody. Happy to be here.
Yep.
In a good little streak. I've been back again.
We've been doing all right. We've been getting back on with it. I feel like we've both had quite a few big life events going on, but it's
Yeah, I
nice.
mean,
It's nice to
me,
get.
mine have been bigger than yours.
Yeah, it's just nice to get back into the rhythm of doing it a bit more, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the subject for today is last time I know we were talking about kind of like the competitive kind of what do we what how did I refer to it? Competitive self-pity or vulnerability, competitive vulnerability, that was it. And you sent me quite a funny video afterwards, which just perfectly summed up the entire thing. It's just this woman running along. Some bloke had clearly said something to her, don't know what, but then she decides rather than just confront the guy, she gets her phone out and starts crying into her phone while still running. It's like, listen, it's one of the things, and this is something that I kind of want to filter through today, right? Don't let morons like that who are absolutely irrelevant in your life go and ruin your day. They're just not worth it. It's absolutely not worth it. Anyway, today's episode is based on the back of yesterday. I was over at a school, Frodsham Manor Primary School, over in Frodsham. Would you believe it? And I was there as an athlete doing guest appearance, school assembly, fitness class, and everything. And at the end of the school assembly, I always give them time to ask questions, whether they want to ask me about American football, they want to ask me about health, fitness, training, and anything they want. They can pick whatever they want. Sometimes I get questions like, "Are you a millionaire? Are you a millionaire?" It's like, not yet,
Do
not
they ask if
yet.
you're a YouTuber?
No, but incidentally, one of the kids did actually find me on YouTube and commented on one of my videos that and said, "He was in my school yesterday." And I was like,
Hmm.
"Yes, I was."
Wow.
So anyway, one of the questions I had was a young man. He was wearing a Crystal Palace kit. Don't know
Yeah.
what he's doing up in the northwest. Maybe a bit lost, but either way, big football fan. And had a bit of a chat with him whilst he was doing the fitness circuit, motivating him, trying to push him a little bit harder. And it became fairly apparent that that's what he wants to do. He wants to be a footballer. All right. In the assembly, he puts his hand up. And to be fair to him, like a lot of the time, it takes a bit of courage to put your hand up and ask a question like that. But he asked a very sensible one. And he just said, "What advice would you give someone in my situation, kind of thing? Like, what advice would you give to someone who wants to go and play kind of professional sport?" And that's kind of what we're going to try and address today. So we're going to try and add to a few layers of that. So if you're a parent, if you're a soon-to-be parent, if you want to be a parent, if you've got young children in your life that you are a role model for and you're trying to inspire them and you want to help them to be the very best they can be, it doesn't matter if they're not going to go on to play professional sport, if you don't want them to play professional sport. I'm hoping there'll be a few lessons within this podcast that will just be good points of advice for future development and just generally being successful all around. So if that sounds like something worth sticking around for, then please do sit back, listen, and enjoy. I think, Chris, you've got a few questions, so you're going to kind of try and lead me a little bit with this, aren't you?
Yes.
So,
Yeah. So Alex has, I would say, more expertise in this particular area than myself. Obviously, he's a famous YouTuber with £1 million and he's going around doing talks at schools. So I'm going to try and guide some questions. And obviously, I know you've got your own wisdom that you can reel off anyway. So I think one of the things that I'd like to start with for you is something that we've touched on and definitely done separate podcast episodes about before as well. And that is standards
mm,
and behaviors.
yeah,
Because there are loose definitions as to what an elite athlete or a professional athlete are. And for someone in that kind of situation, what this young lad that was in, what was he in, Crystal Palace kit?
yeah, yeah.
So the young lad in the Crystal Palace gate asking a question like this, he might have a very clear idea as to what being a footballer means, but not necessarily understand the lifestyle. Correct?
Correct.
And
This is a perfect place to start because this is exactly what I was wanting to go through.
yeah, and I know for me personally, I remember, and this is one of the things when I talk about like, I guess my story, if we go into that with new clients and stuff, I remember wanting to be an Olympic athlete when I was a baby, when I was a wee boy. I wanted to be Olympian. And when I was very, very young, it didn't really matter what event I wanted to do. I just wanted to be an Olympic athlete because to me that was super cool. And then as I got older, I thought, no, I want to be a football player because I prefer the sport football than the Olympics. And then when I realized and thought about what that lifestyle entailed, I didn't really want it as much anymore. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah,
So,
it does because priorities change, goals change, what you want actually changes. And that's something that we discuss with clients from day one. It's like, okay, we're going to do your goal setting now, but bear in mind that this might shift slightly. You might not have this as your goal for the next 12 months and beyond. Like your current long-term goal now might change. Like people say every time, probably the easiest one for most people to get their heads around is go, oh, I want to lose weight. I want to be this weight. And then they get close to that and they go, do you know what? I'm maybe 5 kilos heavier than that, but I look mint. Like I've got loads more muscle mass. I've got my energy levels are through the roof. My main focus now is I want to go and do this marathon or I want to go and do this other fitness competition that shall not be named. Like your priorities change, your goals shift, and that is absolutely fine. That is perfectly okay.
yeah, I totally agree. And leading into the question then, I guess it was what to you, what does being an elite or a professional athlete actually mean to a young person like the young lad that asked you that question? And are you expecting, in someone in your position who coaches these kinds of people, them to have certain standards of behavior? And what would they be if we're talking like very young?
Yeah. So one of the things that I always preach is that the mind is the athlete. So anything you want to do at any point in time, it comes down to a decision that you make. And I tend to try and reinforce that no matter what you do, every single thing has an impact. So we see this all the time. If people shirk the work, if they miss, if they fall short of the line, if they don't complete the sprint, if they don't go into the gym and do their training session, if they don't finish the reps, if they don't eat their vegetables, it has an impact because it means that you are satisfying yourself, you are choosing a level of comfort that is falling short of what you know is the standard. Or equally, if it's something being prescribed as by a coach, by someone who is a professional already and knows what they're doing, and then you're choosing to fall short of that mark, are you telling me that that's going to be good enough? And that's where it lies. The mind is the athlete. So when I do the circuit with the kids, there's a there's the central governor theory by Tim Noakes. I think I've spoken about it on this podcast before, probably like years ago when we started it. And at any point in time, whenever you're exercising, like if you think, right, you're going out for a long run, once you're running, I think you've then got, is it four decisions that you can make at every single moment. Any point in time, you're making this decision. Speed up, maintain pace, slow down, or stop. Four decisions. You can pick any one of those options. There will be times where you have to slow down. There will be times where you can speed up. Maintaining pace is absolutely fine. The important thing is if you've got somewhere to go and somewhere you're trying to get to, you have to keep going. Stopping and sitting down isn't an option. And that's something I mean, we both learned that doing the ultra run, right? Like as soon as you start to stop, if you as soon as you sit down and you get used to that level of comfort and you almost allow yourself the time to breathe and kind of go, and you hit that relaxed state, pushing yourself back into that melting pot and that ultra stressful choice of action is incredibly difficult. The discipline to bring yourself back to that point is way harder than the discipline to keep yourself going. So that's kind of what I try and boil it down to is like, it's a decision. You have to make the choice. Like you said there, like you wanted to be professional football. I wanted to be a professional football. I feel like I had the hunger to do it. I just didn't know how to do it. I didn't know what to do. I felt like one of the biggest things that let me down was always my fitness. Probably why I do what I do now. Because I know there's so many simple missing components to athletic performance that will help when it comes to if you've got the skill set to do it, the drive to do it, you just need to know the correct little things to push on. And if you can get those right, you massively increase your chances. So that's a huge part to it. You have to have the drive and the want to do it. It's like achieving anything. Like if it's all these people who cite, oh, I've got ADHD. It's like, well, how do you know that? Oh, when someone's talking about something that I'm not interested in, I find it really hard to pay attention. What a shit way of thinking about something. It, like I don't understand how that right. There's going to be people going mental at this now because I know for a fact I know ADHD is way more complex than that, but we simplify it and boil it down to the point where like it's just normal human nature. Like that's just life. That's most people. If you did an ADHD test on most people now, I guarantee they will come up as being some sort of ADHD. And I just find it baffling that it feels like we're almost putting an excuse on certain types of behavior. And yeah, there is a reason that people behave in a certain manner, but that this is where you have to have the internal reflection system to analyze what you're doing, think about your actions, and then behave in accordance to what is desirable behavior or ultimately your own personal choice of behavior. Um, and again, I'll go back to like if you're thinking about how much energy does it take to listen and pay attention to someone when you're not interested in what they're talking about, it takes so much energy. Why would you spend that energy on learning and investing time on stuff you aren't interested in? It makes no sense. It's not a good way for a human to try and evolve themselves. It's just pointless. Like another exercise that I do with everyone is focused on there's a few different components to this, but it's to kind of highlight the importance of the reticular activating system and the part of your brain that is going to take in more and more information that's going to help it to help you get to where you want to be. So it's just a dead simple one. You probably did it if you went to Tony Robbins. Pick your favorite color. Think about your favorite color right now. Okay, you got 5 seconds to look around the room and count as many things that match that color. And it's the same way, it's the same thing for picking out positivity through your day, engaging in a positive mindset. You go and pick out those colors, you look at everything and you go, right, okay, well, these are all the positive things that have happened in my day. You program yourself to find those things. And before you know it, you're at the point where, okay, well, how many things that did you notice or count that were a different color to the one you like? You don't notice it. You filter it out, you block it out, you get rid of it because it's not useful. It's not helping you achieve what you want. And then you go into, okay, well, let's say I picked red. How many things am I looking at that, if we're being honest, they're not really red? They might be slightly red, but I go, oh, that's red enough. I'm having it anyway because I want to count more and more things that are going to help me. And it's getting into the habit and the mindset of I'm going to pick on the positive things. I'm going to keep those. I'm going to take those with me and use that to my advantage.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that we want to touch on there, but
I've said a lot there. I've said
yeah.
a lot. I
So,
can't even remember where I started.
well, I mean, to touch on the ADHD thing, That's something that comes up with probably 80% of clients and members of gyms nowadays that we coach. And I think a lot of people almost train themselves into a position where they think that they have ADHD because the amount of people that are trying to do seven different things at any one time, it's like you think they're listening to an audiobook whilst scrolling on the phone, whilst watching telly, or something like that. I
Mm,
think nearly everyone scrolls on the phone whilst watching telly or not watching telly in the evening. And it's like you can't concentrate on more than one thing at once. Yeah, because you bloody taxing your brain to do it with really low level activities all the time. And also, I think it's exactly what you said about the RAS there, the reticular activating system. ADHD doesn't even mean a bad thing. Whenever people seem to get this diagnosis, they seem to use it as an excuse that's hindering them. And actually, if you're wiring yourself for success and for progress, you're actually going to find that actually that's going to be a superpower. It's probably one of the main components that's going to help you go further than a lot of people that don't have it.
mm.
So I agree. I think if you're wiring yourself correctly, you should be trying to use your brain as much as you can to help you. So with that in
So,
mind,
sorry, just to kind of wrap up, because I know I went on a proper ramble there. When it comes to standards and what are they, what I like to do in that situation, because so I never really thought about this, and maybe you were the same, but at a young age, you're kind of a little bit naive to goal setting and setting targets for yourself more often than not, because you're just busy being a kid. So you look at a footballer, you think, oh God, I just love playing football. I just want to play football every single day. I want to play for Man United. I want to play at the very highest level. Like, you know what you want to do, but the next level to this, and if you're a parent right now and you've got a young kid and they've got a dream, do this with them. Sit them down and go, right, okay, you want to play for Man United. What do you mean? Because, like, let's be honest, that could just be, oh, I want to sign there as a kid, and then what? Okay, you want to make it into the first team. Right, okay, how many appearances? One, two, subs bench. Okay, no, you want to be in the first team. Oh, what's that? You want to be a first team regular. Right, okay. Go a bit more deeper into that. What is it you want to do in the first team? Oh, I want to achieve X number of goals, X number of caps. I want to play international football. I want to play for this team in the Premier League. I want to spend 20 years of my career there. I want to spend my entire life at that club and be an absolute legend for the club. Right, okay, that's the perfect scenario, okay? Once you've done that, once you've decided that that's what you want and you've got a little bit more precise with it, write down exactly and be as precise and as detailed as you can with this. Write down exactly what you think that person does and how they achieve that. How does that person live their life? How does a footballing legend, a superstar and an icon of the game, go about day to day life? So, for instance, one of the things that I can do in schools, obviously, if they're all wearing football kits or whatever, I can go, right, okay, you've got Lionel Messi on your back. Tell me what you think he does day in, day out. How can he do what he does? How do you think he lives his life?
do you think there's an age, in your opinion, that's too young to be asking those kinds of questions or where you wouldn't bother
I
with
well, I mean, obviously, with my boy now, I can't ask him because he can't speak.
it?
So,
Wait,
but
have you officially announced it yet? I
did
don't
we not
think
do,
you've announced it on the podcast, have you?
did we not do it on the last podcast? I'm sure we did. All right, I've got a little baby boy. He's an absolute lovely little man. He's a chap.
Good lad. And he wants
Look,
to play for Manchester United for 20 years and be a first team
he
regular.
wants to be a club legend. He wants a statue and a stand named after himself. No, his name's Maximus. He's absolutely lovely. He's a little boy, and he's got big hands, big feet, a strong head, and he's aggressive. Out of nowhere, he'll go from 0 to 100 and just stick one on you. But I love him. He's amazing. He's amazing. So yes, I've got a little boy. Sorry, that's a really bad announcement. I thought we'd done it. Sorry,
I,
Maximus. If you're listening to this at some point in the future, wondering what was wrong with your dad, where did he all get it wrong? Come back to this episode 147, the Ronnie O'Sullivan. It's a, yeah, no, is there an age where they're too young? So it depends how you do it, right? I'm not going to sit him down in a formal manner, stick a pen in his hand and go, right, son, think about this and grill him on it. You can have a bit of fun with it. It's like, even if it's just in conversation, even just in past, like, even if they're like, oh, I'd love to play football, I want to play football. Okay, well, what do you think makes a great football player? Tell me everything that a great football player does. What do they do on the pitch? How do they do it on the pitch? Do they do lots of running? Yeah, they do lots of running. Okay, cool. When they are running, how fast are they running? They're running really fast, right? Okay, wow. Show me how really fast running looks. And they're like, do they ever stop? No, they never stop. They just keep running and running and running. Like, right, okay. And they start to build a little bit of a picture. And all the time, like we did this with clients, like you sit down and you goal set and you visualize. You're trying to take that initial goal that doesn't particularly, if you were to take it as like a film reel, it doesn't really exist to begin with. Like there's just a rough idea bumbling around somewhere. So what you try and do is you try and sketch it out a little bit. You get kind of maybe a little few little drawings and a few ideas on paper. Then you start to string it together. Okay, this is how it's going to look in a series of events. Okay, now we've got that. Let's turn up the detail, the level of quality, and you go from a kind of a bit of a bitty shot to pieces idea to like an old wrinkly film reel that you'd put in a projector to building up that super crystal clear HD 3D 360 surround VR type simulation where it's like, right, this is fucking like to the point where you can think about it and it feels like you're in it. It feels like you're there. That's what you're trying to do the entire time. You're just trying to build clarity and create that picture to get them excited about the emotions associated with what they want to achieve. And if you can do that, if you can get them excited, energized, full of beans and running around, like I said, the goals might change every 5 minutes anyway. But if you can get them excited about something, engage them in it, and then they go, oh, okay, I want to do something else now. Well, okay, cool. Let's move on to the next thing. Let's go and try that. Like, because at the age of 7 or 8, you might want to be a footballer. At the age of 17 or 18, you might want to be a rugby player or an American footballer or a cricket player or an IT technician. Or you might want to work in AI. You might have started your own airline company. I, so many things change. You might become a space explorer. You might be an astronaut. You might be yeah, there's so many things you can do, so many possibilities, but you have to have a rough idea to start with. And then, even as part of the process, you learn how to mobilize yourself and execute on the idea. And that's a skill in itself as well.
Yeah, and I think for anyone who is wondering about age-wise, I'm pretty sure they do this as an activity. It's a very surface level activity, but in primary school. But I think they say your brain is the most plastic it'll ever be up till about 7 year olds, and that's when you are, um, I guess, forming neural pathways at the fastest possible rate. So 7 years old, as young as 7 years old,
And
kids will absorb their environment and tone, and they are still impressionable to a point where it's a good time to get whatever conversation you can out of them at that stage.
yeah. And equally, like I said, have some fun with this. Like you could ask them the question, what makes a great, and then whatever they want to be. You can do the flip side. Like if they're not sure, if they don't know the answers, you can also go, okay, well, what would a terrible Man United player look like? And
Or just
and
say
you
a name,
and you
just say
just go,
any
ooh, Bebe. Ooh.
name. Okay, so what would be I guess, the first habit that you would tell someone to try and develop? Because obviously, would you get them to try and cultivate that drive? That would have to be a very creative conversation to try and get that out of a younger person. I know we're not talking strictly about people as young as 7 now, but do you think that would be the first thing? Or
It's difficult because I think you're trying to pull some things together simultaneously. So, for instance, if I was trying to say habit wise. as they're growing up, as they're developing, you're already getting into habits, rhythms, patterns as parents where you're putting them down to sleep at certain times, feeding them at certain times, allowing, giving them certain types of food. Um, you might be playing various different games with them. Do you sit and read with them? Do you get your phone out? Are you just sat watching TV? Are you being a bit of a bum? Are you being lazy? Are you being, and again, we were literally just talking before I came on to record this podcast with you. We were talking about how, yes, genetics play a role, but environment is also absolutely massive. So, like, in terms of energy levels, like, we're constantly up, about, busy, doing stuff. Like, there isn't time, or there won't be time for him to be lazy. Like, he's not going to get time to sit around and do absolutely nothing because there's always stuff that needs doing. And that's just the way we live our lives. So, I don't think he's really going to get much of a choice in that sense. So, sorry, son. And then, obviously, in line with being able to just getting them to control their breathing and learn and understand that they can control that and they can control their mindset in that regard. Then you've got their sleep patterns, nutrition, any sort of training and physical exercise, and then the mindset work that comes with it. What we're looking at doing there is developing a growth mindset where they're happy to take on challenge, they're happy to kind of be relentless, bounce back from failure, take on kind of difficult challenges, and they're willing to go forth and actually fail at it. Like, part of building resilience is going doing something difficult and possibly failing at it and then having to go again and managing to overcome it. Equally, you might not fail at it, but you would then have to go and find something that's a little bit harder, a little bit more difficult. So it's like, okay, in the gym, can you do a pull up? You can't do a pull up yet. Okay, cool. Well, let's do a few things that are going to help you get to a pull up. And you focus on that, you practice it, you train it. 6 weeks later, bang, there's your pull up. Okay, now you've got one pull up. Can you get five? Like, you make the challenge a little bit more difficult. And I think you have to set yourself those little mini targets all the time. And if you neglect that, if you ignore it, you're kind of aimless. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. Like, if that's the way that, if you're happy and satisfied and that's the way you want to go, and you don't want to have to continuously push forward, then absolutely fine. But if what we're talking about here is actually being great at something, you have to continuously set targets.
Yeah, I agree. So are you kind of like talking the focus really should be on long-term progression and improvement rather than
Yes.
winning?
Yes. So winning is important. You need the drive to win. Like, all of professional sport is about winning. If you want to win as a kid and you want to succeed, and if it pisses you off, if it hurts you, if it upsets you as a kid, good. Like, like, don't get me wrong, like, I never finished a football match as a kid, went home in the car happy after we lost just because I played. Or maybe even just because I played well. But I remember probably one of one of my I don't want to say it's one of my best games, but one of the games that sticks in my mind was when I was a kid. I was about 15 at the time. And I remember I played really, really well. We had a game, we had 10 men. We'd already won the league. We only had 10 men. The other team were one of the other better teams in the league. They absolutely pounded us. But I remember, I think, I don't want to brag and blow my own trumpet, but I played exceptionally well, or what I thought anyway. It's hard to talk about yourself in that respect, but I thought I'd had a really, really good game. But I was absolutely, I didn't speak to any of my teammates after the game. I was so annoyed that we lost. And that was with 10 men against one of the better teams in the league. I was just absolutely fuming.
I feel like
And
you're always like that. I
yeah,
feel
but
even
this
when
is the
you
thing.
won.
So, winning is a standard. And again, we talk about, well, what does it take to be successful? Well, what does it take to become great at X, whatever particular thing it is you're aiming at? We can also go, right, okay, I like to visualize that winning is like a person, right? And it's got a dinner table, it's got a big banquet laid out. And Winning at the end of the season, the tournament, whatever it is constantly making a decision, filtering out people that are inadequate to sit and join it at that table. If you aren't doing the work, winning will just cast you aside. You ain't getting anywhere near it. You might need a bit of luck, but you might have done something to earn that luck. You might get a decision from the referee. You might have earned that decision from the referee. But all the time, I always think that winning is deciding who it wants to sit with at the end of the season, and it's up to you to earn your spot at that table. And again, like I say, the 1%ers, the things that you don't think matter, all add up. The bits where no one's watching, the bits that everyone else discounts because they're too easy, such as going to bed early and going to bed on time, eating your vegetables, doing your mindset work, sitting down and doing your journaling. All those things count. They all matter. The way you train, the number of reps you do you finish all the work? Do you do a little bit extra? Oh, now we're talking, now we're cooking. Like if you can do those little bits and then do it even more, even harder, even better than everybody else, then there is a very, very good chance and a very high likelihood that you will be deemed adequate and suitable to sit at the winners' table and join winning at the end of the season.
Yeah. It makes me think of Tim Grover, and I really, really liked and
It
resonated.
was it was his book that initially prompted that idea. That
Well,
that's what gave me that visualization of, do you know what? That's what winning is. That's fucking winning that.
I like that because and I think he's a probably a great person for younger and older people to look at when it comes to developing if you're serious about like fitness or going in to become professional and have high standards as an athlete and trying to win. I always think of there was a podcast, I think it was the Impact Theory podcast with Tom Bellew, where he was talking about he absolutely can't stand these people that say showing up is half the battle. Have you heard this one?
Not the
So he
podcast, but
says,
I've heard that saying.
so he says about how if you'd have showed up in the 1600s on the hill with your sword and shield, you'd get fucking killed because it's none of the battle. Showing up is none of the battle. Being there means nothing. You stand there, showed up, someone puts a spear through you. You have to actually regulate yourself and take actions. And it's true. I think for a lot of more so with younger people, but this obviously stays on, goes with older people. I think a lot of people who are talented and want to become athletes, a lot of them seem to think that things will just fall into place
Mm,
and they're waiting for things to fall into place. And as a result, they miss out on so many opportunities that perhaps didn't look like opportunities. And again, this links back to the first thing you said about the reticular activating system. You're not looking for opportunities because you just think something's going to happen for you. It's not like that. You have to go out, create it, make it, adhere to those standards that Alex is talking about, and earn your place at that table. So does that?
So just on that note as well, what you've said there about showing up. So think about people who play in a football academy their entire life. They get to 18, they get released, or maybe they get their scholarship, or maybe they sign their first contract in the first team and they get the first big paycheck, and it's like, oh, now I've made it. And you get again, like I mentioned in the ultra run, like you sit down, you go, you breathe, you've got that sigh of relief, and it's like, you aren't done yet. Like you've literally done the equivalent of turning up to the battlefield with your sword. Now it's time to fight. Now this is the point where you've got your opportunity. You haven't made it, you've got a chance of making it. Like if you really, really want to make it, now is the time when you really have to start and you really have to focus in. And that's where the best athletes become, they probably declare themselves as being selfish because you have to be, in a way. You have to blank out everything that's not important. Again, I mentioned the reticular activating system and the little exercise of picking out a color. This is now, can you focus in on only the things that are important? And this is where there was again probably the reason I wanted to talk about this today was at the weekend. I don't know if you followed the Premier League too closely, but Max Dowman for Arsenal, 15-year-old kid, scores a goal, wins the game against Everton, makes it 2-0 in the last minute, right? That guy's got to go to school the next, like, not the next, is it the next day maybe? Or he's got to go to school on Monday morning. He's a 15-year-old kid, right? He's just about breaking through. I've seen people on, it was the Good, the Bad, and the Football podcast with Paul Scholes, Nicky Butt, and Paddy McGuinness. And I think the headline for the episode was they were comparing him to Kaká or saying he reminds me of Kaká. It's like, no, 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 hold on, right?
Wow.
Max Dowman's 15. He scored one goal in that game, and now you're comparing him to Kaká. Like, can we just
It was an
take?
open goal as well, to be fair.
I mean, to be fair, he had a lot to do. He had to beat the defender, but then he was just a free run in to
Yeah.
to an open goal. But still, but it's like, can we just take a fucking minute? The kid's 15. He's not done anything yet. He's literally broken into the first team and he's earned himself a chance. And I think this is where it's becoming really, really hard now for kids as professionals and that are breaking through into that level of sport. Is personally my advice: go nowhere near social media. Get off it. Stay away from it. If you need someone to manage your brand, give it to someone you know who's on your side, who you know is going to back you. And if it's for sponsorship purposes and whatever else to kind of keep you, keep you relevant or, kind of maximize your income, get someone responsible to take care of that for you. Trust them to filter out the opportunities, get rid of all the crap you don't need, and just focus on being the best professional footballer you can possibly be. Go into the Cristiano Ronaldo style hovel of, wake up early, go for a swim, go back to bed, eat breakfast, go back to bed, get up, go to training, go home, have a bit of lunch, have another nap, get in the gym for a couple of hours, have some more food, go for another nap. Like, do everything you can through your day to be the best possible professional you can be because it will pay you what it will pay off. There's a reason that guy's had the career that he's had. There's a reason he's still playing at 40 odd years old. International football as well, by the way, like at the top level, not just knocking around in Saudi for a paycheck, still able to mix it. And let's not forget, before he went to Saudi, he was still one of the top scorers in the Premier League for a very bad Man United team. He is a serious, serious athlete and a proper professional. So take a leaf out of his book. Use that for me would be a template of an unbelievable role model.
Yeah.
Tom Brady in the NFL as well, by the way.
I think even as it were, you made me think of Max Verstappen. So I'm not a huge fan of him, but I've seen a lot because mainly just because I don't watch a lot of Formula One, but I've seen a lot of clips where
Hmm.
people are talking about how he's not bothered about being on the red carpet and doing all these different conferences for films and things like that. He just wants to get out there and he wants to be driving and he wants to be racing and he wants to be winning. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's important to find yourself a genuine role model of someone who is doing and has been doing the exact behaviors that you want to cultivate and develop for yourself as well. I
Yeah.
agree. Cristiano Ronaldo is, without a doubt, he's got to be, if not the number one for every sport, for work ethic and how to actually dial your life toward becoming the best you can be. It's crazy to me because people talk about this is slightly off topic. People talk about how he wasn't the most talented, but he's a perfect example of how his work ethic has got him there. And it's like if he wasn't the most talented, he was I don't know, like he was pretty fucking talented.
Hmm.
He's
But this is the thing, like if he's
like,
if even if he wasn't the most talented, if he was just the hardest worker, just shows you don't like what how do you measure talent?
yeah,
How do you measure it?
yeah.
Is it just how good someone is at the age of 9? Well,
So
how do you know that they've not just done a lot of hard work leading up to that point? Like what are we talking about in terms of potential talent or potential?
is it as well, I think when it comes to initially being scouted or found or whatever, it's talent obviously does get noticed, but standards of behavior more often than not is what's going to get you picked
Yeah.
in your team if that's what you're doing. So obviously, yeah, talent certainly helps, but then obviously nurturing and fostering good behaviors is without a doubt. Think of people like bloody Ravel Morrison. If we're staying on the football ones, it's
Mm.
meant to have literally the example of the player that's had the most talent and just fallen by the wayside.
Yeah. But it's like it's interesting that you brought up Max Verstappen because I was like you, I didn't used to like him. And then Fiona pointed out, she was like, "Why don't you like him? I don't understand why you don't like." She's a huge Verstappen fan, by the way. She was like, "I don't understand why you don't like him." I was like, "What do you mean?" She was like, "Well, he's like you." I was like, "Sorry, what are you talking about?" It's like, oh,
Mm.
the ego, the argumentative nature, the off, F you, I'm gonna do it my way, and like just like that kind of thing. Like she was like, "That's what you're like." I was like, "I see your point. I'm a big fan now."
I like.
So yeah,
Yeah, I see that actually. I see that.
thanks.
Okay, so another one was as an athlete, how do you go about? I don't know if disassociating is the right word. I think a lot of people, and this was something that I obviously resonated with. How do you go about finding out whether or not you actually love the sport and you actually genuinely want to do it, or you just love the praise or being praised, or what you think is the reward at the end of it? And how relevant is that? Does that make sense as a question?
Yeah. So how do you know that you're doing it for the love of the game?
Yeah. Or are you doing it just because,
My question in return is, does it matter?
well,
That would be my question. So. Yes, ideally, you would want to love what you do every single day when you show up to work because it feels effortless. It just feels like you're in flow. And I think normally, if someone's got to that point with football, you can't not love the game. You can't not love the sport that you're playing because you've done it your entire life. It's not like you made a career decision at the age of 6 and go, right, this is what I'm going to do for the next 20, 30 years or whatever. Because you can't. There's no way of knowing. Like you might just go, oh, I really enjoy this. This is what I want to do. And then you keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it, still enjoying it, still enjoying it, still enjoying it. So the question is not why, not how do you know if you love it or not, but why would people fall out of love with it? Like why would someone fall away from it? And I think you probably look at a couple of people. I'd pick on Marcus Rashford in particular. Just looked like he didn't want to be at United. He was a kid. He was a United kid through and through. Came through the youth system his entire life there. Sometimes, if you're in the same environment all the time, it can wear you down. It gets hard. If you're around the same people, the same messaging. This is where the best coaching staffs in the world, I think, by the way, will renew and reinvigorate their coaching staff every 3 years, I would say, because you need a different voice. You need to hear something different to spark that same level of energy. If you hear the same person over and over and over, gets boring, gets repetitive, and it gets to the point where you just drown it out and you don't listen, you don't pay attention. So, in a way, the whole aspect of challenge needs to stay fresh. And this is where you it might just be something as simple as get more clarity on what your goals are, understand that in as much detail as possible and keep working towards it. And it just comes down to, again, I will continuously circle back to journal, have some form of self-reflection, focus on emotional regulation and control that. Stay away from social media would be number one tip on that. Process your thoughts, process your emotions, and then gain clarity on your performance. Like it's hard if you've had a bad game, people will point it out to you. There's no escaping it. But the question is, like, does that one game summarize you as a person? Does it destroy your self-worth? Absolutely not. In the in the grand scheme of things and the longevity of a career, like if we pick on the Tottenham goalkeeper, from the other night, he had a shocker. Does that mean his career over? Because he had one bad game at the age of what, like 23 or whatever,
Is this the lad who got pulled off by his coach after like
17 minutes. Yeah. Yeah. Does that mean it's career over? Absolutely not. It's can you bounce back now? You've had a bit of a wake-up call. You've had exposure to what it's like at the top level. You understand what it's like when you make a mistake. You understand the pressure around it. You know you've got things to work on in your game, even if it's just, focusing on your powers of concentration, composure. That's all it is. You're never doomed eternally. There's still another game to play. Find another opportunity. Go and prove what you're worth. Don't allow that to throw you off for the rest of time.
yeah, I think a good example with that stuff is I've seen a lot of this surrounding Roger Federer recently. I don't know if you've seen this way. They talk about the indifference, the emotional regulation, and the indifference towards every single point. Have you seen or read about this?
I think I might have heard it, yeah.
It's I started getting a lot of this stuff about Roger Federer after you were telling me about how his point success was like 40%,
53%.
53%.
He's won just over half of all the points he's played in his career, and that's enough to be considered as one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah. And I think there's him, and then it talks about Djokovic as well, I think it was, where they had this absolute indifference, or at least in terms of their body language. You wouldn't know if they won a point or lost a point if you were to just study their body language. And he talks about recognizing that every single point is that point and that point alone. And a lot of people get stuck in their own heads and live in their own heads, don't they? And it's like, oh my,
Mm.
those last three shots were terrible. I'm a terrible tennis player. I don't deserve to be here. Like, what am I even doing here? I'm in way over my head. Maybe I should stop playing tennis. But in actual fact, it's just, okay, next point now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Emotional regulation.
And again, this comes down to circling back to the basics of, do you know what? I've drilled the basics often enough that when it comes down to skill execution, I can just, even if my performance turns to shit, let's say everything's going wrong in a particular game, I've still got my basics. Like everything I try nothing's coming off, nothing's going right, nothing's going perfectly. You get games like that. They happen no matter who you are. If you play for long enough, you'll get a moment like that. You'll get a game like that. And that's where if you've got the basics nailed and you've got that solid foundation, you just fall back to that and you build from there again and it comes back to you. Whereas if you've kind of stumbled through without solidifying that foundation and you found yourself at the top and you get caught out, then your fallback is nowhere near as strong. You haven't got that solid platform to go back to. It's like with my dog Axel, drilled his recall relentlessly to the point where he's in the park now. He can be off running around with another dog, sniffing another dog. I shout him, call him over, comes running over, bang, sits right in front of me. And everyone else goes, "Oh, but how do you get a dog to do that? How do you get his so well trained?" And it's like, it isn't fancy. I've just done it with him relentlessly over the course of 5 years. That's it. But 99% will not do that. Like, how many times do you take your dog out and you see the owner running around the field going, "Oh, Daisy, Daisy, come here. Oh,
Neighbour's dog called Daisy.
bloody hell, Daisy, come on, sort yourself out." But how often do you see that? It's so often. And it's nothing special. It's just that those people haven't drilled the basics.
Yeah.
Or if they haven't done it for long enough, in which case, if the basics haven't stuck, just keep going.
Yeah.
And you have to persist and you have to ultimately, again, one of the main ingredients that you do need to reach the very top is an astonishing amount of self-belief. And again, that comes through having a growth mindset and developing that bit of resilience by doing things that are exceptionally difficult and continuously putting effort into it and continuously trying hard.
Yeah. Yeah. I have one last question for you specifically.
Go.
So I know you mentioned earlier about, and actually you've said this before, like you were, I always thought physically you were very, very capable and very competent. Like if I were to measure you up against other people that you were playing against, like from the youngest I remember you playing to the oldest I remember you playing.
Mhm.
And technically, I always thought you were very good as well, but obviously we didn't really have the access to the wider knowledge that you would have loved to have thrived off. And you would
I
have
had a hell of a shot on me, by the way. I could
ultimately,
scored goals from everywhere, me.
well, it makes sense that you're a kicker, doesn't it? So my question is, what is one thing now if you came up against 10-year-old Alex, what advice would you give him about becoming a professional athlete or going into sport, knowing what you know now? Because obviously you now are probably the coach that you could have done with back then when you were then, and you'd have gone a long way.
Yeah. I thought about this a little while back, where I was thinking about our circumstances, where we were as a kid, or where we were as kids. I would just go, right, you see that hill there? Run up that every day.
Twice.
Go and do that. And then once you've done it for a year, do it twice a day. Go do that. Build up, like particularly football, rugby, whether you're playing rugby league, rugby union, even if you're one of the big lads, just have an unbelievable engine. Have an engine that just doesn't switch off and will keep on going. Like build your VO2 max as much as possible, because once your career's done, once you're over with, and your body starts to fall apart, break down, joints, muscle tissue, everything starts to ache a little bit, that VO2 max will carry you forward. Having that VO2 max will sustain you and result in a good quality of health and longevity, life for till the end of your days. The payoff on that is huge. And
Can
then
I,
second to that would be strength. Knowing what to do in the gym, knowing how to train, knowing fancy exercise and doing really sport specific stuff in the gym as a kid is not important.
no.
You need to do the basics. Run fast. If you've got a hill, go and run. This is one of the biggest things. I absolutely love the idea of running up a hill, because it is so fucking hard. Isn't it? It is.
Yeah.
Like if you're
Yeah.
running up the hill, if the hill's big enough, you're gonna gas out if your fitness isn't there. And if your fitness is there, you can run up the same hill every day and try and run it faster. It's going to stress you to the point of adaptation.
Yeah.
And it's so simple, but it works.
I also think on that, I was actually thinking last week about the running beep test. And the reason that I say this is because I was thinking about your point about running up the hill. And I was thinking, whenever the beep test comes out in school, most people absolutely hate it and it makes them think of throwing up. And if we're thinking about obviously adhering to certain standards of behavior and things like that, the bleep test is, if you do it properly, like maximal exertion test. So it would train VO2 max, and it's at the end, obviously, yeah, you need to be fast to be hitting the latter levels, but a lot of it is how much is your head in it and how much is your heart in it. And it's very, very, very good at training that resilience because every time I was thinking about this earlier as well as a metaphor in terms of when you were saying about like building momentum, you have to stop at the end of every shuttle and then start again.
Hmm.
So it's teaching you to stop, kill, and then go again with inertia, start again, and then keep going faster, keep going harder, keep going faster, keep going harder. And I think it's a phenomenal way for people to build that in both the mind,
Yep.
emotional resilience, and in your legs.
But it's also that thing of like you can drop out at any time.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
stop
yeah,
just
yeah,
stop running. Comfort is immediate. You all you have to do is just go, "Ah, I'm done." No
yeah,
one's gonna force you to keep running. And this is where like my message for my little man in there, God bless him, God help him. My message for him, if he was going into a bleep test, if I let's say if I'm sat on the sideline and I'm watching him, he's about to go into a bleep test. The last thing I'm going to say to him is, I dare you to puke.
yeah, yeah.
I dare you.
And
Just
you say so like that.
go for it. See how hard you can push yourself. Because it's not going to change the way I feel about him. It's not going to change the love and affection and the feelings I have towards him. It's all about him as a character and as a person. And that would be my message to anyone. Like, can you push yourself to that point of complete and utter exhaustion where you're on your haunches, you're throwing up, you're going dizzy, you're at the point where you're on the verge of blacking out? Can you push yourself that hard? Because and this is, I think this is a really difficult thing for parents because
And
it's
be
not
proud
nice,
of
is
it.
it? But it's not nice to see, is it?
No.
Like, you don't want to see your own child suffering. And
But also,
again,
how proud would you feel seeing that?
that's the thing. That's the th This is the bit where people need to, you need to get out the way of, I want my child to be nothing but comfortable because it ain't gonna happen. Like life comes at you too hard, too fast, too many curveballs, way too many ups and downs. They are never going to be happy every single day, 24/7. Just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
That's a fairy tale fantasy land heaven that doesn't exist, not on this earth. So can you teach them to push, drive, dig deeper than you even thought possible? Like how bad can you dare them to, how much can you dare them to push? How bad can they keep, like how much can they keep going? That's the question. That's the bit where it, oh, like it fucking counts. And this is the bit that really gets to me is like when I go into the schools now, you see too many kids that, again, you look back on what I did in school as a kid and what what your mates do, what they do now, and you just think, do you know what? Like we had it so wrong. Like you think it's cool to just kind of mess around and play up, and it's like just fucking try.
Yeah.
Like I dare you to like, and again, this whole idea of one of the things that I said to my teammates at one of the last games last season was, I dare you to put everything on the line. I dare you to give 100% and then see if you fall short. Because 100% might not be enough sometimes. That's where it happens in sport, in life. Like you can give absolutely everything and still lose. Because what you've done over the course of a year, over the course of the last 2, 3, 5 years, hasn't been enough for winning to look at you and go, right, you deserve a seat at this table in that moment. It ain't enough. And it's just, can you get out of your own way? Not worry about looking cool, not worry about, oh, what my mate's going to say, or they're going to take the piss after I've done this, or like, just go for it. Just send it. Just go all out and give everything.
Yep. I agree. I agree. And I think that's part of the daunting part, isn't it? They think that a lot of people are worried that if they do give everything and they don't win or score or
Mm.
get whatever award, they think that means it's the end. It
Yeah.
means they're not good enough or they're not the best in the world that they thought they were and that they were told they were when they were kids.
Impacts on their self-worth,
Yeah.
which again, when we're talking about kind of controlling and regulating emotions and having that clarity of performance and understanding that it doesn't mean anything about you as a human. You're still a good person. You're still going to be loved by your friends and your family, no matter what, no matter how crap you've been in the game. You've got next week. You've got the next game. What you do on the pitch as a player doesn't determine you as a person. So you have to kind of have the emotional intelligence and the maturity to kind of look beyond that. And you have to learn that as well. Like you can't just expect a kid, like Max Downward, for example, at 15, you can't just expect him to know that or automatically do it.
Yeah, and I also think that the people around you, depending on who you're surrounded by, won't have that same awareness that you have as well. So like the athlete can know that, but the people around them might not. So for
Mm,
example, if you fuck something up in the 90th minute and you concede a goal, let's say you're a goalkeeper, you give the ball away in the 90th minute, you'll probably get a bollocking, and some people will feel disappointed and they will think that they're disappointed in you and you will feel like you've let them down. But again, like it's not the end of the world, and it doesn't mean that that is going to be the way that it is forever. And there's always opportunity for redemption. So
absolutely. I feel like does that cover everything?
I think I'm quite satisfied. I feel like we've been through quite a lot there. I feel like you've dropped quite a few gems.
Good. I mean, I know when we sat down for this initially at half one, we thought, oh, we'll keep this to a shorter 40-minute one. I think we've gone a bit over that, but oh well. Hopefully
Yeah.
it's been engaging. I've enjoyed it. Time's absolutely flown. So I think that concludes us for episode number 147. If you've got any questions, anything you'd like to message us about or speak to us about, or anything that you might want us to talk about on the podcast, then feel free to send us a message on social media. Instagram would probably be the best place to do that. So get in touch with us. And thank you again for listening. Obviously, if you've subscribed, then that's absolutely fantastic. If you can share this with anyone that you think might need to hear it, anything that might be relevant, that would be absolutely awesome. I have got Chris Jones lined up to come on and talk about some more youth athletic development. He's going to be coming on in sort of like the next couple of podcasts and episodes to give us a bit more insight. So hopefully some of the stuff today will give us a bit of a good foundation for that conversation there. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for that. And we will happily have you back for the next one. So thank you for joining us. All the best. Lenko out. You're not going to do peace, love, and protein bit, no.
Peace, love, and protein.
I thought that was your standard like go-to. What are you doing?
I just thought whatever you said was fine.
Fair enough, right. Cheers, guys. Take care, and we'll speak to you again soon.